What's going on, everyone? It's me, your boy RMT Triple OG, and I'm back with another RMT Podcast. This is RMT Podcast Part 5. But before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. And if you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing. It's free and it will majorly help me out. Think of it like a good deed, if you will. Anyways, back to the podcast. So my last podcast, I actually already told you guys what I'll be talking about in this podcast. If you guys had watched my last podcast, RMT Podcast, I said that this podcast I would be talking about two things. This one dude who was an atheist who set out to prove that the crucifixion of Jesus was fake and then came back a believer. And then the other thing I'm trying to remember. I only recorded it like 20 minutes ago. How did I already forget? I think it was. I already forgot what it was. I can't believe I already forgot what it was. I guess I might remember it later. So I guess I could talk about the guy, this non-believer right now. Well, now he's a believer. So I'm not sure how long ago this was, but there was this dude who was like, the crucifixion of Jesus is fake. It's all fake. None of it's real. Jesus himself is fake. Blah blah blah. And I'll prove it. And he was an atheist too. Remember, he was an atheist who was saying all this stuff. He was like, I'm gonna go prove it. I'm gonna set out and prove this, that it's fake and everything. And so that's what he did. He gathered up some money and stuff. This guy, I don't even know if he had a life. Like, how could he just do this without a life? I mean, how could he do this with a life? He just like ups and leaves his entire life behind for something that he's confident about, and then I don't know. I would think that someone who does this, who would be doing this, doesn't have a life. Anyways, that's not the point. He gathered up all of his stuff, like all of his money and stuff, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he just planned it out. I don't know, dude. I don't know that much about this guy. I don't even know his name. But he set out to prove that the crucifixion of Jesus was fake after he got all of his supplies and everything and packed and everything. And then I forgot if it was like a piece of clothing or something. He found this piece of. This was not the only piece of evidence they found, but this was like one of the most important pieces of evidence he found. He found like this piece of clothing or something. I'm not entirely sure what it was. I can't speak right now. Anyways, it was like a piece of clothing or something, and he found it, and he was like, he studied it. He like studied this piece of clothing or whatever it was. And basically, on this piece of clothing, using modern technology, he was able to find that back then, whoever wore this piece of clothing, so Jesus, could not have been faking it, because on this piece of clothing there were like chemicals that are released from the body when the body is in distress and pain. And he and using like science, like modern science technology, he was able to find these chemicals that are released when the body's in stress and pain and needs help. And so that was like one of the most important pieces of evidence he found, and that's like the only piece I remember. But I do know that the more he looked, the more pieces of evidence he found that said that it was true, and the more of a believer he most certainly became, because he came back 100% a believer after being an atheist his whole life. It's funny too, because he was so confident that he was right. He was like, oh, I'm so confident I'm right. I'm going to go set out and prove that I'm right. And then he ended up being dead wrong. It's like the funniest thing to me. And I said this in my last video. That's like one of the problems with skeptics, is because they'll only look at it from like a scientific standpoint, and because of that scientific standpoint, it's never going to be. They're always going to think it's fake, because none of it could be almost none of it could be explained by science. So as long as you only look at it from a scientific standpoint, you're never going to understand, and it's always going to seem impossible to you, and therefore you're never going to be a believer. But if you try to open up your mind a little bit and look at it from a non-scientific standpoint, then you're more likely to become a believer and stuff like that. Shoot, I can't remember what the other thing was, but there was something else, like I said, that I wanted to talk about. I can't remember what it was, though. I seriously can't remember. I seriously can't remember what the other thing that I wanted to talk about was. Hold on. I'm going to go back to my hideout. Okay. And then pull up my nearest hideout. Where's the nearest repair shop? Oh, nope. Nearest hideout. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my hideout and see if I could try to figure out what this other thing that I wanted to talk about was. But like I said, I think it was my last episode or the episode before that. If you guys have any suggestions or anything pertaining to regarding religion, theology, and mythology that you would like, religion, mythology, and theology that you would like me to talk about, please let me know down in the comments. I'm always like I said, this stuff as well as the supernatural fascinates me. So I'm always down to talk about something new and learn new things about this kind of stuff because, like I said, it fascinates me. Oh, there's my hideout. Also, let me know down in the comments below if I should make these videos longer. Anyways, I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm back. So that was the other thing I was going to talk about. Was the story about an army defeated by an angel. So I forgot who he was, but there was like this leader or whatever of this small town overseas or like kingdom or whatever. It was like a small village or town or kingdom or something. And this was like a really long time ago. I think this might have been BC. I could be wrong. But anyways, and there was this army that was gonna come and destroy him and his people and his village and like take over them and everything. Like take over them, and whoever obviously didn't comply was gonna get destroyed because like that's how most of these things work. And so, wait, what am I tracking? Nearest hideout. Remove route. Anyways, so this dude, obviously his town was about to get destroyed and everything by an army of, I think it was like 185,000 soldiers from like another country, from like another town or army or whatever. I don't know. I do know it talks about this in the Bible. I'm sorry if I'm like annoying you if you're like a Christian. You're like, how do you not know this stuff? You said you were a Christian. I am a Christian, but I don't like, I know I probably should, but I don't remember everyone's name or anything like that. The only time I remember people's names is like when it's like from a super popular story, like the story of Noah's Ark or the story about Moses and how he parted the Red Sea. So I'm sorry if I don't remember a lot of these people's names and stuff like that. But anyways, so this guy, his town was about to get destroyed by an army that was coming to invade him and his people. Like this king, shoot, maybe he was, okay, I think they were countries. Because he was like a king and everything, and his kingdom was about to, his kingdom was about to get destroyed. Anyways, so he prayed. He was praying to God. He was like, God, I don't know what he said, but he was basically like, God, please help me. Please don't let my town, my kingdom get destroyed, and whatever else he said in the prayer. I wasn't there, so I don't know what he said in the prayer. It's not my place to say. And I also never researched or did any research on like the specific words he said when he was praying. It might say that in the Bible. I'm not entirely sure. But he was basically asking God for help against this army. And so God said, okay. Well, God never spoke to him, but God heard his prayer. Maybe God did speak to him. I don't know. I don't know everything about Christianity. Just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean that I know everything about Christianity. Anyways, so God was basically like, okay. And he sent down he sent down an angel to destroy this army. And so obviously the angel came down and destroyed the army. And that was it. The end of the army. just like that, completely wiped out by an angel. And this guy's kingdom was obviously saved because the army wasn't there anymore. That's the Christianity version. But I'm not saying that there are other versions. That's the version I believe. But now, I have looked into it, like done research on the story. I have done research on the story. And scientists, because, they're scientists, and they think that everything that could possibly happen in the Bible is fake, even though no matter how many times we thoroughly look into stories from the Bible, we end up finding out that they really happened. We found, like, geological evidence and stuff like that they actually happened. Scientists think that they have theories about what happened to this army. I mean, okay, so one thing that you need to know, I forgot to mention this part. We have gone to the place where this army was supposedly wiped out by the angel, and we have found remains of this army being described in the Bible there at this place where they were wiped out. It was like, so as far as I know, we have found evidence for this army, but we haven't found any official evidence. We haven't found, like, we don't. So we officially know that this army existed and that it was wiped out, but we don't officially know what destroyed this army. So obviously, if you're a Christian like me, you're going to believe that God sent down an angel to destroy the army. But what scientists think happened is the two most common theories from the little bit of research I did. The two most common theories is that, one, either the army was wiped out by a horde of rats, which is a little bit biblical, not 100% biblical, not very. It's not, rats aren't known for being a huge part of the Bible, but they are biblical to some extent. And then my favorite theory, plagues. God is all about plagues, guys. All about plagues. So maybe, for all we know, the angel, when God sent down an angel to destroy the army, the angel did destroy the army by using a plague. I mean, it's possible. And then there's going to be that one dude in the comments that's going to be like, no, that can't happen, just because they don't understand. But, so who knows? God could have sent an angel to wipe out the army, and then the angel could have wiped out the army using a plague. Because, like I said, plagues are very biblical. And then I didn't look too much into the plague theory, or I didn't look into too much into either theory. In fact, I didn't even look too much into what wiped out the army. I just did a 2-second search on the internet. I was like, what wiped out this army? I think the way you say their name is Assyrian, so I think it was the Assyrian army that got wiped out. Could be wrong. But if there was a plague there, how did it start if they were not even at their hometown and they were just out in the middle of nowhere going to this other place? Well, actually, I don't know if they were out in the middle. Wait, yeah, they were. When they were wiped out, they were out in the middle of a desert, out in the middle of nowhere. So if there was a plague, how did it start out in the middle of nowhere? And how did it spread fast enough to kill all of them in the span of a couple weeks? Because the entire army, from the time they left, I'm not sure how long they had been away from home, but I would have to assume it was only a couple weeks at most. And also, so how come this entire army got wiped out at the same time? Because these people, this army, they were all wiped out at the same time by the same thing. So if it was a plague, how could, at least a normal human plague that wasn't caused by some supernatural force or entity, if it was a plague, a normal plague, like the common cold, but worse, how could it wipe out all these people at the same time? Also, how did they get it in the first place if they'd been away from home for a few weeks and they had barely had any contact with barely anyone other than just the people that they were the other members of the army? Even if at least from my point of view, if you look at it from a scientific standpoint, it makes less sense than God sending down an angel to kill all of them. Like, I don't think people understand that the skeptics and atheists and stuff, they're so quick to say that that Christianity and religions are impossible, that they can't be real because they don't because they don't understand, and therefore they're impossible and they can't be real. But I don't think that atheists and scientists understand is that science has more holes than any religion and mythology and theology that are out there. Science has more holes than any religion, mythology, or theology that's out there. It's funny because scientists and atheists would rather rely on science, which makes less sense than religion, than something that they say is impossible. So if what we say and believe is impossible, and yours is less possible than ours, then how can you even believe in your own? Like, I don't really know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but I hope you guys understand. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to my hideout, and that's probably gonna be the end of this video. As soon as I can get back to my hideout, and in my next video, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to talk about, but I already have a few ideas. And back to the atheist dude who became a believer after setting out to prove that the crucifixion of Jesus is fake. I don't really know how to explain how it makes me feel. I just think it's like really funny though how he was like so confident and everything, and then he just was like, oh shoot, I'm dead wrong, and then he just started becoming a believer, and he probably prays every day for forgiveness, because he basically said, because back when he was an atheist, he was like, being an atheist and not accepting God into your life is basically pushing God away, and not accepting Jesus into your life, and accepting the Holy Spirit, and accepting the fact that Jesus died to save us from the punishment of our sins. It's basically pushing God away, which is, I guess, depending on who you are and your belief system, could be an unforgivable sin. That's not me though. I'm not really sure. I kind of think it's an unforgivable sin because, from my point of view, in a way, it could be blasphemy, but that's just me. Anyways, that's where I'm going to end this podcast. So remember, if you liked what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing. It's free and it will majorly help me out. Think of it like a good deed, if you will. And please, let me know down in the comments. Like I said, if you have anything that you would like me to talk about in any of these podcasts that are related to religion, mythology, and theology, please let me know down in the comments below. And also, if you think I should make these podcasts longer, please let me know down in the comments below as well. Anyways, until next time, goodbye.